believe that I just found this. I found an old email of mine. I used it to sign into a Chrome account, and it brought up the personal journal that I wrote to myself when I was in 2018. To put things into perspective, this is the sort of person that I was in 2018. I was broke, I was living in a college dorm with some sketchy setup in the background, and I was really trying my hardest to change the trajectory of my life, because I was headed towards a marketing job, which is what I was studying, at a big corporation, a soulless corporation with thousands of other employees where I wasn't really cared about, and I was doing something I hated all the time. And I was trying my hardest. I was a young buck filled with desire in order to make something happen of my life and to achieve financial freedom was the core goal of mine, because then I could do whatever I wanted. And what I wrote down to myself was really, really powerful and incredible to see looking backwards. So I want to walk everything that I wrote in my belief system section of my personal journal out to you and explain it, because I think that changing your beliefs is one of the best things that you can do if you want to achieve success or you want to have a goal that you want accomplished. It starts with belief. I've talked about this before. This is wisdom, having a correct understanding of the way the world works, because your belief system dictates the emotions that you feel, and the emotions you feel dictate the actions you take, and therefore your belief system dictates the actions that you take. It goes belief, emotion, action. So beliefs dictate emotion, which dictate action, therefore beliefs dictate action, right? And when you watch a motivational video, the valuable part of that video isn't the emotions that you feel. It's the changes in beliefs that you can have as a result of those motivational videos. So what I did, as you can see here, was that every single time I felt motivated, instead of just viewing the motivation as a valuable thing because I can work towards my goal with ferocity, I recognized that emotions come and go. Emotions are always in motion. That's part of the word, emotion. They change. That's part of what an emotion is. So when you feel motivated, to try to capture the emotion that you're feeling, try to understand the beliefs that led to you feeling that emotion, because those beliefs, if you can get them to sink in, if you really understand them, then they can be consistent. They can be something that sticks with you for a prolonged period of time, because you can just come back and you can remind yourself of them. So now all of a sudden you have motivation on cue, because you've captured when feeling motivated, what was the cause of that feeling of motivation, and now you can just read through dozens of collections of causes that lead to the emotion of motivation. And you've heard things like, you shouldn't rely on motivation for a similar reason that I've just outlined. But if you want to achieve something grand, you need a desire in order to achieve that, because there's going to be things along the way that you don't want to do. What gets you doing the things that you don't want to do, even though you don't want to do them? Well, it's desire. You need to really want something. And if you really want something, it forces you to view the situation with more seriousness. It grounds you, It grounds you and forces you to actually try to figure out how to achieve it, instead of just pretending that you're figuring out how to achieve it, like so many of us do for our goals that we think that we want, but we don't really want. And because we don't actually want them, our brain never gets serious. We're never like, right, cut the BS, cut all the fluff. What actually is the solution to this problem? And because we don't get to that point, we don't solve the problem. Because what we want to have happen is we want to feel like we're making progress more than we actually want to solve the problem. Or we think that we want to solve the problem because society has told us that's a good thing to want. The point that I'm trying to make is that your understanding leads to your emotions, which leads to your behavior. And if you can change your understanding, now you can change your behavior. And if you change your behavior, you're far more likely to achieve success. So when you feel motivated, try to document the cause of that motivation instead of just using the motivation to act. Because then with this cause, you can remind yourself of it by reading it out again and again and again, like I used to do every day with this belief system. And if you open yourself up to some of these beliefs that I'm about to explain to you, and you let them sink in, and you really understand, you're like, oh, that's right. That's a correct belief. That's true. That can actually be a huge service of helping you achieve your goals. Because like I said, beliefs, emotions, behaviors, you get the point. First one, What I do with my time is an ethical decision. And it is an ethical decision because with your time, you could impact people in a great way, or you could impact people in a bad way. And if you care about the impact you have on other people, then your time, or what you do with your time, is an ethical decision. Right? So if you believe that, you're now going to act more in accordance with your ethics by trying harder with your time to serve people. Change in belief causes a change in action. Second one, my potential is limitless. Now this is an interesting one. We can get into the technicalities here. Is it actually limitless? Probably not. I'm bound by time, I'm bound by IQ, I'm bound by a lot of things. But the point here is your potential is probably 1,000, 1,000,000 times greater than you currently believe that it is. And you are limited by this belief of your potential, which isn't true. It's never true. It's always some made up thing that we've experienced from the past. But the past doesn't need to equal the future. You can change. And with leverage that we have access to, some of the technology we have access to, the internet, this computer, where I'm staying at the moment in an Airbnb or in a hotel, all of these things are technology that we can now use to increase our potential. So your potential is almost close to limitless. So if you're trying to vision or dream about the future, you have the potential to dream as big as you want, to try to create a vision of a world that you're really excited for. You have no capacity on how large you can dream because chances are your potential is a lot greater than you think that it is. Next thing, if I can't do this right now here, how will I reach my goals? What this is saying is that as you're going through life and you run into a specific instance, say right now you're lying in bed, your alarm's gone off and you've snoozed and it's now half an hour later than you wanted to get up and you have a choice. Do I snooze again or do I wake up? In specific instances like that, you can remind yourself that reaching your goals just is a byproduct of making the correct decision repeatedly. So if you can't do this specific thing, if you can't get out of bed now when you want to, you won't achieve your goals because it's the wrong decision. And if you can't do this decision right, you're less likely to do the next decision right. You're less likely to do the next decision right. So every single decision you make can be asked by the question. You can put it in your mind, if I can't do this decision right, I'm never going to be able to achieve my goals. And by believing that, you're going to increase the likelihood that you do the correct thing. Next thing, I've got to act like the person I want to be. So, for you to achieve your goals, it's not like you achieve your goals and then you become a different person. What happens is you become a different person and then you achieve your goals. The changing of your habits, the changing of your identity is the thing that comes before the achievement of the goal. Because you have to create the world. At the moment, you have created the world of your current beliefs, your current identity, your current skills. So for you to change your world, you have to change something, right? So to get what you want, you have to act like the kind of person that deserves that thing, the kind of person that almost already has that thing, you know? And that's a useful belief. Next thing, I am fully aware and love the fact that everything takes perseverance. It's easy to want to win quickly, and it's difficult to get yourself to do the hard things. But if you try to fall in love with the fact that great things come from doing difficult things, then you enjoy the process a lot more. You think, great, this is an opportunity for me to do a hard thing, which I know is needed, and which I enjoy doing because I know that other people aren't willing to. I know that I'm evolving myself as a person, all of those sorts of things. Next thing, it takes focus and deliberate practice to become great. I think it does. Next thing, everything is my fault. So this is taking 100% responsibility. There were things in my life that set me back from the average child. And there were things in my life that set me above the average child. And there are some people in life that have it worse than me, and there are some people in life that had it better than me. I can never, as long as there's one person out there who had it worse than me, I can never complain about my situation because it could have been a lot worse. And everything that happened to me is now my responsibility. Now I'm an adult. I'm not a child anymore. A child can blame things. They can be a victim. They're a child. But in my view, when you become an adult, you have to realize that there are things that worked against you and there are things that worked for you. And the things that worked against you is just a part of life. You have to now accept responsibility for that. Whether it sucked, it sucked. I'm not saying you don't do something about it. I'm saying just don't be a victim. You know, I feel like that's like a cancelable thing to say. Maybe it is. I don't know. It's the truth though. I must do what it takes to get me to that goal. Next thing. Okay, here we go. I can learn anything. Good belief to have. This is what a growth mindset is. A fixed mindset thinks I am the way that I am. My intelligence is fixed. But realizing you can learn anything, no matter what you want to achieve, as long as you want to do it enough. Because we're malleable creatures. Humans are designed to learn. So if the human biological animal is designed to learn, isn't it likely that you're also designed to learn and that there is nothing that you can't learn? Because if you needed to learn it, if it was a life or death situation, you'd figure it out. Next thing, I must do what it takes to get me to that goal. Just a simple reminder that I must do the things that are required to get me to my goal. That's it. It's like an obligation that I've made to myself. It's a promise I've made to myself. Because I want a certain thing to happen. I know it'll benefit me in the future. So I do the things necessary so that in the future I reap the rewards of my actions today. I must believe what it takes to get me to that goal. So as well as doing what it takes, you must believe what it takes to get you to that goal. Next thing, results are all that matter. We can sit here and think that we're great, but if you don't have the results to prove that you're great, you're probably not. And just humble yourself and be a student and learn. That's what a lot of these beliefs come down to. I will work hard, smart, and long hours. I used to say to myself, I don't need to work hard, I'll just work smart. But the thing is that in order for you to figure out what working smart looks like, you have to work hard to gain the data necessary to figure out what working smart looks like. So you have to do both. And working hard comes first. You can't... I used to think that I was working smart, but I look back now and I realize that wasn't smart at all. So you can't work smart. You'll always look back and think that wasn't working smart. So just work hard as well as working smart. Next one. The information I consume will give me the keys to the kingdom. Even back then, I knew that all this game is it's a mindset game. It's a belief game. The beliefs dictate the emotions, dictate the actions, dictate the results. Next one. Where am I? Challenges are a chance to grow. I made a YouTube post about this. As you can see, this isn't my YouTube settings because this is the new Gmail. So this is a story that you can read on my YouTube community page about a student who's procrastinating because they have a belief that an easy life can lead to a good life. Now, this actually came from the Synthesizer School community, where I was asked a question, why do anything? I'll just read it out here. Why do something when not doing anything is so much easier? So this person has the belief that something easy is something good. They said, why do something when not doing anything is so much easier? That means that they're saying you should do based on how easy something is. This is a bad idea, and I wrote about it on the YouTube post. I'll read it up now, but you can pause this if you can skip the section if you've already read it. The student says, why do I procrastinate? The teacher says, because you have a faulty belief. The student says, what is my faulty belief? The teacher says that an easy life can lead to a good life. The student says, please expand. The teacher says, humans value many things, wealth, health, happiness. Why do we value those things? The student says, because they make us happy? Teacher says, no, we value them because they're hard. If getting a six-pack was easy, if getting healthy was easy, if building wealth was easy, everyone would have one, and we would no longer value it. So value is linked with difficulty. Something that is difficult is more likely to be valuable than something that is easy. So why do we have the belief that we should do things based on how easy they are. Good things come from doing hard things. Easy life now, hard life later. Hard life now, easy life later. Teacher says, imagine a man who always takes the easy option. Where does he end up? Student says, lazy, poor, and fat. Teacher says, correct. When you deeply understand where an easy life takes you, you're left with no other option other than to do the hard things, which is what we talked about in this video about beliefs dictating emotions, dictating behavior. So the student says, so I should actively seek hard things? The teacher says, correct. Challenges ground you into reality. They help you see things clearer. They give you wisdom. Student says, how do I seek hard things? The teacher says, raise your standards in every area of your life. Push yourself. Watch who you become in the process. Do hard things. Watch what your life transforms into. Approach life as a professional. Now, this was actually a belief that I got from Andrew Tate, which I'm thinking about making a video. I tried Andrew Tate's morning routine. We'll talk a little bit about him now, screw it. So Andrew Tate's an interesting character. Obviously, I don't agree with everything he said, but I've learned one thing from him, which is, well, I've learned two things from him. Fuck it, may as well expand on them both now. Or maybe I shouldn't. Up until now, I've been of the mindset of like, videos need to be focused, talk about one thing, and now I'm just like, let's experiment with talking about everything. So let's do that. Andrew Tate, two things I've learned from him. And by the way, this isn't me endorsing him as a person, this is just saying I've learned some things from him. You can learn from everyone, even your enemy. First thing that I've learned from Andrew Tate is to approach life as a professional. View things as if you're serious about your job. Like, imagine someone that's doing a career that they really want to become incredible at. They want to become the best at it. They're going to approach that with a level of professionalism. They're going to show up on time. They're going to do the work to a very, very high standard. They're going to keep themselves on track. They were always going to be on their top game. Approach life with that mentality. Everything that you do, from simple conversations with people, to your career, to what you do when you get home, to how you exercise, should be approached as a professional and done to the best degree that you can do. Because what that will do is it's going to increase your standards, it's going to create more challenges for yourself, and through those challenges you have opportunity to shape your character, to improve yourself, to experience the highs, the lows of life, the pressures, to ground yourself into the sort of person that just understands and is wise and is calm as a result of their understanding. So that's the goal with all of that. That's the first thing that I've learned from Andrew Tate. Second thing that I've learned from Andrew Tate is his mindsets on discipline. So you can watch one of his videos and you can feel motivated. But what I did was I analyzed why I was feeling motivated, just like I'm talking about doing in this video. And I understood that Andrew Tate has a few different beliefs that lead to his behavior of someone that's pushing hard, someone that's improving themselves, someone that's achieved great success financially, but also becoming the 4 times best world kickboxer. Like, that's pretty... whether you agree with him or not, you can't deny that that's impressive, that that's an accomplished man that has the beliefs that can lead to success. I can expand on them more, the beliefs that Andrew Tate has that leads to his action, in another video maybe if you guys are interested. But yeah, anyway, where was I? I think I was going through this. Challenges are a chance to grow. There we go. Next one, you could die tomorrow. Are you happy with the person you are today? Oof. If you think, and this is a trap that I fall into, I haven't come to the grips with the fact that I'm going to die. I still feel like my life is going to go on forever. And I definitely feel like this less than I did before. I used to be crazy. I used to climb up cranes, walk out on the edge of the crane, and then dangle off. Someone that understands their mortality would not do that. I felt invincible. So I definitely feel like that less so now, but I still feel like there are days where I forget the fact that time is limited and I just waste the day. Where if you have the belief and you really understand that your time is not limited, then you're far less likely to waste the day. There's a quote that says that a man has 2 lives, and the first one begins when he realizes he only has one. When he wakes up to the fact that he has 1 life, this is it today. we have a certain amount of minutes, we have a certain amount of hours, we have a certain amount of days. And that amount that we think we have actually could be a lot shorter than it is. You could die in 5 years, you could die in 1 year, you could die in 1 month, you could die in 1 day, you could die in 1 minute, you could die in 10 seconds. And if you were going to die in a minute, what sort of a person do you want to be in the last minute of your life? What sort of a person do you want to be in the last day of your life? You want to be the best person that you can be. And if you realize that you could die a lot sooner than you think, it's going to increase the likelihood that you do actually approach life as if you could die any minute. And by the way, this was like a mental model I came up with previously. A metric to figure out if you're living a good life is to run through different scenarios where you could die in 80 years, you could die in 50 years, you could die in 10, 1 year, 1 month, and so on, and to think how you would live in all of those different time frames. So how would you live if you were going to die in 10 years? How would you live if you were going to die in 1 month? How would you live if you were going to die in 1 day? And if all of those things are roughly similar, then it shows that you're living an aligned life. Because what you're doing now in the short run, like if you were going to die in a minute, is the same thing that you want to be doing if you're going to die in a day, the same thing that you're going to be doing if you die in a year. It's just a good little mental model, like if all of those scenarios are the same. I feel like I didn't explain that well. But there's also a part of me that thinks that because my videos previously are more scripted and focused, there's less of a connection with me because I'm being less authentic because it's more scripted. Whereas a video like this could deepen connections, because that's all this game is. All building an audience is it's an access channel, it's a vehicle to reach people when you want to reach them, and it's building relationships. And the way that I want to build relationships is by giving and giving and giving and giving and giving. That's the game that I'm playing, which I'm not very good at sometimes. I could be a lot better at it. I could be giving more. You know, I give some value. I haven't monetized anything in almost a year now. I haven't sold anything, no sponsorships, nothing. I just want to give, but I can do a better job at giving. Anyway, you could die tomorrow. It barely matters. Okay, so here's the thing. This was what I talked about in a previous video about momentum. It barely matters which direction I go in. What matters is that I'm building momentum. The first thing to solve for, the first problem to solve is consistency. The second problem to solve for is quality. So first of all, it's quantity. Second of all, it's quality, because quality comes from quantity as well as other things. Like, there's no point learning unless you're doing whilst you're learning. You should start, then learn, don't learn, then start. Next one step at a time. So it's easy to get caught up on the plan, on like the steps in front of you. So for you to reach your goal, financial freedom, whatever else you desire, there's going to be 3,842 steps. There's going to be multiple different things along the way for you to do in order to get the thing that you want. So realize that what I've just said is that there are steps in front of each other. So all you need to do at the moment is focus on one step. That's it. You don't have to focus on step 200. You don't have to focus on step 1000. Your only job is to focus on step 1. What should you do now that's going to best serve the long-term goal? That's it. One simple decision. What should I do now? What should I do now? That's it. And by doing that, it increases the likelihood that you do the right things because you're now focused on the specific thing that can be done now instead of something that can't be done where you're just wasting energy on the future. Next thing, fucking gratitude. This is huge. This is from Gary Vee. Just gratitude, use gratitude as a fuel. It's a dangerous spot with this whole desire thing to be fueled by something negative. And it works. I would say a lot of my desire was negative. It was fear away from certain things. I didn't want financial freedom. I was scared of doing a job that I would hate. But it works. But it leaves you feeling more stressed and anxious along the journey. It makes it more difficult to enjoy the journey because you're only doing the journey to get something in the future instead of just enjoying every single step of the way. Next one, everything is practice for the big show. This is good. People think that, at some point in the future, I'm going to get my opportunity. No, your opportunity is now. When the opportunity comes in the future, you get a big interview. At that point, 1 minute before the interview starts, that's the opportunity then for you to take. But the opportunity for you to take is now, and that's to do the right thing, the thing that you need to do to get what you want. Next thing, everything is my fault. Kind of talked about that previously. Full responsibility. And the next one, what kind of a person do I want to be? Using identity as a motivator, realizing that I need to change who I am. I need to shift my identity to get what I want. And yeah, to conclude, these were all the beliefs that I wrote to myself when I felt motivated, and I analyzed the reason why. So if you instill these beliefs in you, it's going to increase the likelihood that you feel motivated, especially if you come back and you watch this video multiple times. Because what's going to happen, and this just sounds like I'm getting my watch time up, what's going to happen is every time that you listen to this, your goal is to try to understand the belief deeper, more emotionally. It's not like you hear something once and it clicks. You know, we're slow. Humans are slow. So we need to hear things multiple times in order for our brain to start to accept them as truth if we believe them to be true. So yeah, I hope this video was valuable, and it was valuable for me. Yeah, crazy to look back at what's happened in the past 4 years. It's been a wild ride. I'm insanely proud of myself. I don't think I would have believed 4 years ago that I am where I am now. It's crazy, and I want to keep going. I want to keep pushing. I want to see where we can go with this YouTube channel. I think that there's things I'm getting wrong, but there's also things that I'm getting right, and I'm excited to double down on those things and see what we can build together over the course of the next 60 years that I'm going to be alive.